displaying the glory of God's creation by exploring America one park at a time. Welcome to Parking Full Time with Big Dave, the park's professor. 10th hole. The par and distance are at the top of the screen. This hole starts by playing along the base of the Cahulga Creek Dam, which is off to the left, but there is a forced water carry coming up. That is the outflow from the dam, and it's about 300 feet to carry the water. So if you're a short thrower like me, you'll be forced to lay up and try to clear the water with your second throw. We just jumped across the water, and then we curve sharply to the right to head down to the basket. This is probably my favorite hole on this course. I like the strategy regarding the forced water carry, and I like the fact that this hole isn't super tight and super technical either. To get to the 11th tee, you have to walk to the left and back to the base of the dam. There is a tee directly behind the 10th basket, but that's actually the 12th tee. That's the only real route quirk that I saw on this course, but that is kind of confusing there. The 11th hole is pretty flat, and there's this one tight area that we just walked past through this tight cluster of trees. You can get around that cluster with a right-to-left disc flight, and that's what I did on this hole. There's the basket and the view back to the tee. The 12th hole is another completely flat hole. It's fairly tight, a little tighter than the two previous holes, and the limbs from these trees make for kind of a low ceiling. So you're going to need a low right-to-left disc flight in order to get close to this basket in only one throw. I do want to welcome you back to Parking Full Time. I am Big Dave, the parks professor. We are at the Lake Point Disc Golf Course. We are at Cahulga Creek Park in Heflin, Alabama. So we are in eastern Alabama, just a few miles north of Interstate 20, and about 10 miles west of Georgia. Hole number 13 is short, but it is the steepest uphill hole on the back nine. There's some dense woods on either side of the fairway, and there are some overhanging pine limbs here that make for a fairly low ceiling, but the fairway is pretty wide, so if you have a big enough arm to get up the hill and a little bit of accuracy, then this really is a pretty easy hole. I captured this video on Thursday, February the 1st, and it was a warm sunny day with temperatures in the upper 60s when I came here. The 14th hole is kind of the opposite of the previous hole. It plays steeply downhill, and in fact momentarily we're going to jump over the steepest downhill part and then head on down to the basket. It's also pretty boring as it's pretty wide open. I guess it's kind of fun to just throw your disc downhill and see how far you can throw it, but other than that there really isn't much interesting going on with this hole. I do want to take this opportunity to thank you for watching this video. Parking Full Time would not be anything without the people who watch, and I realize that every day, and therefore I thank you every day. Here's the basket coming up here. There is some dense woods behind the basket, but again at 350 feet it would really take a big throw to reach those. There's the view back uphill to the tee. Next comes the first of two special holes called ace holes. According to the information board near the parking lot, the idea is you get one throw, you either make an ace or you don't. Either way, the hole is over. On both of these ace holes, the tee for the ace hole is very close to the tee for the next regular hole, and so it's kind of a good idea to bring a spare disc to play the ace hole with. The next hole is the 15th regular hole. It's very long for a par 3, and you're playing up and over a little ridge, so you can't see the basket off the tee. The basket is along the tree line that you see off to the right here. The trees are pretty close to the right, but there is quite a bit of room off to the left. That fenced area you see uphill to the left, that is a water treatment plant, and that is out of bounds, so you really don't want to throw there. Regardless whether it's out of bounds or not, I would say you really don't want to throw there. Here's the basket. Again, the basket is very tight to this dense cluster of trees off to the right. So for its length and for the trees, this is a pretty tough hole. There's the view back to the tee. Next comes the second and final ace hole. This hole is a little longer than the first ace hole, and the basket is wedged in between this cluster of trees to the left and a gravel road to the right. This would actually make a decent regular hole. I do like these ace holes. Most of the regular holes on this part of the course are really long and really open, so it's nice to have something a little different. Also, these ace holes use parts of the property that would probably be unused otherwise. So I like these ace holes. I think they're a good idea. The 16th hole plays slightly uphill, and it's actually a double dogleg. It first doglegs to the left around the wastewater treatment area, and then it's going to dogleg back to the right around this cluster of trees. You do have to go to the left of the cluster of trees. To the right of the cluster of trees is the gravel road, and that road is out of bounds. The basket is actually behind the cluster of trees as we approach from this angle. I do like this hole. This is my favorite hole among the closing stretch of holes. I think it makes really good use of the available obstacles, and it's one of the few holes here on this part of the back nine that really requires any strategy. Now you can finally see the basket, and you see how close it is to the gravel road here just beyond the basket. There's the view back to the tee. The 17th hole is another long hole. It's gradually downhill, and it's very open, and therefore it's pretty boring. There is a parking lot off to the right, and that parking lot is close enough that it could possibly pose a safety hazard. One of the weaknesses to this course is that all of the short, tight technical holes and heavily wooded holes are on the front nine, and they're played consecutively on the front nine. And here on the back nine, to close, we have a lot of long and really open holes. And so this course feels really unbalanced. Part of that is mandated by just the land that the designers had to work with, in particular the location of the lake and the dam. But that is one of the weaknesses to this course, the fact that all of the super tight holes are on the front nine and all of these long, open, and honestly kind of boring holes are here on the back nine. Considering this is a small town community park, this is a really nice course. Far better than most courses you find at those kind of parks. And if you're driving I-20 through eastern Alabama, I do recommend taking an hour or so and taking a little detour to come and play here. The 18th hole is another long hole, and it's completely open. It has some minor undulations, but other than that, it's pretty boring. I also don't want to mention that I do not make any monetary compensation for anything that I do for parking full time. I took a vow to do that many years ago, and I have stuck to that vow. And therefore, the only thing that I get for writing these disc golf course reviews and doing these walkabout videos are your likes, your subscribes, your views, and your comments, and I do appreciate all of those things. The basket is up here at the top of this little hill. It's kind of a steep little upgrade to get up to the basket. But again, there are no obstacles whatsoever here on the final hole. The only obstacle is the terrain. As I mentioned, this is a nice little course, and I had a good time here, I had a good round here, and I do recommend coming here despite its weaknesses. That is the end of the course. Have a great afternoon, take care, and Lord bless.